The wind howled through the mountains, cold and bitter. Kayla stood at the edge of the cliff, her scales dark against the gray sky. She had been standing there for hours, like she did every day. The wind did not bother her. Nothing bothered her anymore. 3 years had passed since the news came. 3 years since they told her that Jiwoo was dead. Her daughter, her only child, gone. Kayla's scales were black now, the color of mourning among her people. Once they had been bright gold, shimmering in the sun. She had been proud then, strong. But that was before the war, before she lost everything that mattered. The fortress behind her was empty and silent. She had sent everyone away, the servants, the guards, the advisors. She wanted to be alone with her grief. The halls echoed with nothing but her footsteps and memories. Jiwoo had been different from other draconic children. She was smaller, her scales less thick. Her eyes were brown like her father's, not golden like Kayla's. Half human, half draconic. A hybrid. Some of Kayla's people had looked down on the girl because of this, but Kayla had loved her fiercely. Jiwoo was smart and brave. She had her mother's strength and her father's heart. Her father, Taemin. He had been a human soldier stationed on Talon's Peak during the early days of the Alliance. Kayla remembered the first time she saw him. He was small compared to her, fragile-looking, but he had walked right up to her without fear and offered his hand in friendship. She had laughed at his boldness. Then she had fallen in love with it. They had 10 good years together before the sickness took him. Human bodies were weak, not built to last like draconic ones. Kayla had held him as he died, watched the light fade from those brown eyes. Jiwoo had been only 8 years old. After that, it had been just the two of them. Kayla had raised her daughter to be strong, to be a warrior. Jiwoo had trained hard, wanting to make her mother proud. When the Rim Wars started, Jiwoo had insisted on joining the fight. She was 20 years old, young by draconic standards, but old enough to choose her path. Kayla had tried to stop her. They had argued for days. But Jiwoo had her father's stubbornness. She said the Alliance needed every fighter. She said she wanted to protect the worlds they loved. In the end, Kayla had let her go. She had watched her daughter's ship leave, not knowing it would be the last time she saw her alive. The message came 6 months later. Jiwoo's unit had been ambushed on a remote station. Heavy casualties. Jiwoo was listed among the dead. They sent Kayla a small box with her daughter's belongings. A few personal items, no body. They said there was nothing left to send home. Kayla had roared her grief to the mountains that day. The sound had echoed for miles, shaking the very stones of her fortress. Then she had sealed herself away. She wore the black scales of mourning and spoke to no one. She had failed to protect her mate, failed to protect her child. What use was strength if it could not save the ones you loved? The other draconic leaders had tried to reach her. They sent messages asking her to return to the council, to lead her clan again. Kayla ignored them all. Let someone else lead. Let someone else fight. She was done with war. Done with loss. Some days, Kayla would take out the small box of Jiwoo's things. A hair ribbon. A data pad with family photos. A small carved stone Taemin had given their daughter when she was little. Kayla would hold these items and remember Jiwoo's laugh, remember the way she would curl up next to Kayla when she was small, her tiny hand resting on her mother's arm, remember the pride in Jiwoo's eyes when she earned her first warrior's mark. The pain never got smaller. If anything, it grew. It filled Kayla's chest until she could barely breathe. She had heard that time healed all wounds. She was starting to think that was a lie humans told themselves. Today was like all the other days. Kayla stood on the cliff and stared at the horizon. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of red and orange. Jiwoo had loved sunsets. She used to say they were proof that endings could be beautiful. Kayla did not find them beautiful anymore. She turned to go back inside when she heard something. A sound that did not belong. An engine. A ship approaching. Kayla's eyes narrowed. She had made it clear she wanted no visitors. Whoever this was, they were either very brave or very foolish. The ship was small, a human design. It landed in the courtyard of the fortress, sending up clouds of dust. Kayla walked slowly toward it, her tail sweeping behind her. She was twice the height of a human, her body built for power. Whoever had come here uninvited was about to learn that disturbing a grieving draconic mother was a bad idea. The ship's door opened. A figure stepped out, human, male, wearing an old military jacket that had seen better days. He was covered in scars, his face weathered and tired. He looked up at Kayla and did not run. That was something, at least. Kayla stopped a few feet away from him. Her voice was cold when she spoke. "Leave. I want no visitors." The human did not move. He reached into his jacket slowly, carefully. Kayla's claws extended, ready. If he pulled out a weapon, she would end this quickly. But what he pulled out was not a weapon. It was something small and metallic. He held it up so Kayla could see. Combat tags, a soldier's identification. Kayla's heart stopped. She knew those tags. She had one just like it in the box of Jiwoo's belongings. The human's voice was quiet but steady. "My name is Hyunwoo. I served with your daughter. I need to talk to you about Jiwoo." The world seemed to tilt beneath Kayla's feet. She stared at the tags in his hand, at this scarred human who had come to her mountain. Rage began to build in her chest, hot and fierce. "You dare," she whispered. Then louder. "You dare come here with her tags? You steal from the dead and bring them to mock me?" Hyunwoo did not back away even as Kayla's scales began to glow with heat, even as smoke curled from her nostrils. He stood his ground and met her eyes. "I'm not here to mock you," he said. "I'm here because I made a promise, and I need your help to keep it." Kayla's claws dug into the ground. Every instinct screamed at her to strike this human down for his disrespect, but something in his eyes stopped her, something that looked like truth. Kayla's rage was a living thing. It burned in her chest and made her scales glow red-hot. This human, this Hyunwoo, stood before her holding her dead daughter's tags. The insult was unbearable. Draconics did not disturb the possessions of the fallen. It was the worst kind of disrespect. "Speak quickly," Kayla growled, "before I forget that humans are supposed to be our allies." Hyunwoo kept his hands visible, the tags still hanging from his fingers. He looked tired, like he had not slept in days, maybe weeks. His military jacket was faded and torn in places. One of his arms looked like it had been badly injured once and had not healed quite right. "I was in Jiwoo's unit," he said. "Second reconnaissance. We were together when the station was attacked." Kayla felt her claws dig deeper into the stone beneath her feet. She did not want to hear this, did not want to know the details of how her daughter had died, but she could not look away from this human's steady gaze. "They told me everyone died," Kayla said, her voice sharp as broken glass. "They said there were heavy casualties, that nothing was left." "That's what they believed," Hyunwoo said carefully. "That's what they reported, but they were wrong." Something cold settled in Kayla's stomach. "What are you saying? Can we talk inside?" Hyunwoo asked. "This is going to take time to explain." "No," Kayla snapped. "You explain here, now, or you leave in pieces." It was not an empty threat. Kayla's control was hanging by a thread. This human had come to her home, invaded her grief, and now he was speaking in riddles. She wanted answers or she wanted blood. She was not particular about which. Hyunwoo nodded slowly, like he understood. "The attack came at night. We were not ready for it. The enemy had new weapons, something that cut through our shields like they were nothing. We lost half our people in the first 5 minutes. Kayla's chest tightened. She had imagined Ji-woo's death 1,000 times. Each version was worse than the last. Now this human was about to make it real. Ji-woo was hit in the second wave, Hyun-woo continued. His voice was flat, like he was reporting facts instead of talking about her daughter's last moments. Plasma burned to the chest. Bad one. She went down hard. Kayla's vision blurred. She had to lock her knees to stay standing. The image of Ji-woo hurt, bleeding, dying alone on some cold station filled her mind. Her baby girl. Her fierce, brave daughter. The order came to evacuate, Hyun-woo said. The station was lost. Command said to pull back, save who we could. Most of our unit was already dead or too injured to move. He paused, and something changed in his face. Something that looked like anger. They said to leave the critically wounded. Said there was no time. Kayla's head snapped up. What? Standard protocol in a losing fight, Hyun-woo said bitterly. Save the ones who can walk. Leave the rest. It's supposed to be logical. Numbers game. Save the many instead of the few. The rage in Kayla's chest doubled. They left her? They tried to, Hyun-woo said. I refused. The simple words hung in the air between them. Kayla stared at this scarred human, trying to understand what he was saying. Ji-woo was critical, Hyun-woo explained. Barely breathing. The medic said she had maybe an hour, maybe less. Everyone else was already running to the ships. My commanding officer ordered me to fall back. He looked down at the tags in his hand. I told him no. Why? Kayla asked. The word came out as almost a whisper. Hyun-woo met her eyes again. Because we don't leave our people behind. I don't care what the protocol says. I don't care about numbers. Ji-woo was my teammate. She saved my life twice during our deployment. I wasn't going to let her die alone on that station. Kayla felt something crack inside her chest. Not her rage. Something else. Something that had been frozen for 3 years. What did you do? She asked. I picked her up, Hyun-woo said. She was bigger than me, heavier. Draconic bones are dense, even for a hybrid. I could barely lift her, but I got her over my shoulder and I ran. He shifted his weight, and Kayla noticed he favored one leg. An old injury that never healed right, probably from that very run. The last evacuation ship was leaving, Hyun-woo continued. I made it to the hangar just as they were closing the doors. They had to choose. Wait for me and risk getting shot down, or leave and survive. They waited. Barely. We got on board seconds before the enemy blew the hangar. Kayla's mind was racing. But the report said she was dead. They sent me her belongings. The ship took heavy fire on the way out, Hyun-woo explained. We lost communications. By the time we made it to the nearest medical station, Command had already marked everyone at the outpost as KIA. Killed in action. They did not know we made it out. Then why? Kayla's voice broke. Why did they not correct it? Why did they let me believe she was dead? Hyun-woo's face darkened. Because by the time we got her stabilized, the enemy hit the medical station too. It was part of a bigger offensive. The whole sector fell. Ji-woo was captured, along with everyone else who could not fight. The words hit Kayla like a physical blow. Captured. Prisoner of war, Hyun-woo confirmed. The medical station fell so fast that Command assumed everyone there died too. They sent out another round of KIA notifications. Your daughter's name was on that list. I was off station when it happened, or I would have been taken too. Kayla's legs finally gave out. She sat down hard on the stone ground, her massive body shaking. Ji-woo was not dead. She was alive. Alive and in the hands of the enemy. Why are you only telling me this now? Kayla demanded. This happened 3 years ago. Because I've been trying to find out where they took her, Hyun-woo said. He sounded exhausted. The enemy does not exactly publish lists of their prisoners. I spent 3 years tracking down leads, bribing informants, calling in every favor I had. I finally found her. Kayla's head jerked up. Where? A detention facility on Beck 7, Hyunwoo said. It's deep in enemy territory, maximum security. They keep high-value prisoners there. High value, Kayla repeated. Her daughter was valuable to them. That meant they wanted something from her, or they wanted to use her. Neither thought was comforting. I have the coordinates, Hyunwoo said. I have been watching the facility for 2 months. I know the guard rotations, the security systems, the weak points. He paused. But I cannot get in alone. I need help. Draconic help. I need you. Kayla looked at this human, really looked at him. He had spent 3 years searching for her daughter. He had refused orders to save Jiwoo's life. He had come here to face an angry draconic mother because he needed help completing a rescue that might be impossible. Why? Kayla asked again. Why go this far? You saved her once. You did your duty. Why risk everything for her again? Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft but fierce. Jiwoo was not just my teammate. She was my friend. When I was new to the unit, the others did not trust me because I was just a regular human. No enhancements, no special abilities. Jiwoo was the only one who gave me a chance. She trained with me, watched my back. Made sure I survived long enough to prove myself. He looked up at the darkening sky. The night before the attack, we were on watch together. She told me about you, about her father, about growing up on this mountain. She said that her mother had taught her that strength meant nothing if you did not use it to protect the people you cared about. His eyes found Kayla's again. She said real honor was not about following orders or winning battles. It was about doing what was right, even when it was hard. Tears burned in Kayla's eyes for the first time in 3 years. Those were her words, things she had told Jiwoo when she was young. Her daughter had remembered, had believed them enough to live by them. I cannot do this alone, Hyunwoo said. But together maybe we have a chance. Help me get her back. Kayla stood up slowly. The black mourning scales on her body began to shift, turning from black to deep red, the color of vengeance among her people. Tell me everything, she said. Every detail about this facility, every guard, every weakness. We are going to get my daughter back. Hyunwoo's face split into the first smile she had seen from him. Yes, ma'am. As they walked toward the fortress together, Kayla felt something she had not felt in 3 years. Hope. It was small and fragile, but it was there. Her daughter was alive, and Kayla was going to bring her home. The inside of Kayla's fortress was as cold as the mountain outside. Dust covered everything. The great halls that once rang with voices and life were silent. Hyunwoo followed Kayla through the empty corridors, his footsteps echoing. She led him to what must have been a war room. A large table dominated the center, covered with old maps and reports. Kayla swept them aside with one clawed hand and gestured for Hyunwoo to sit. He pulled out a small datapad instead and set it on the table. Show me, Kayla said. She did not sit. She was too restless, too full of energy that had nowhere to go. For 3 years she had been frozen in grief. Now she was awake again, and her body hummed with purpose. Hyunwoo activated the pad. A holographic image appeared above the table. It showed a facility built into the side of a barren planet. The structure was massive, all hard angles and thick walls. Guard towers dotted the perimeter. Kayla could see weapons platforms and shield generators. This is Beck 7, Hyunwoo said. The enemy uses it to hold prisoners they want to keep long-term, political captives, high-ranking soldiers, people they might want to trade or extract information from. Kayla studied the image, her tactical mind waking up after its long sleep. Security? Heavy, Hyunwoo admitted. They have a full battalion of guards, automated defense systems, energy shields that could stop a small army. The facility is designed to keep people in and attackers out. How many prisoners? Kayla asked. Unknown exact number. Maybe 200, maybe more. The enemy does not share that information. But I have confirmed that Ji-woo is in the medical wing. Hyun-woo pulled up another image. This one showed a layout of the facility's interior. Here. Level 3, East Wing. They keep prisoners who need ongoing medical care in this section. Kayla's claws dug into the table. Medical care. She is still injured? Hyun-woo's face was grim. I don't know the details. My source inside could only confirm she was alive and in that wing. But Kayla, it's been 3 years. If she still needs medical care after all this time, the injuries must be serious. The thought made Kayla want to tear something apart. Her daughter had been suffering for 3 years while Kayla mourned uselessly on her mountain. All that time, Ji-woo had been alive and in pain and probably wondering why no one came for her. Your source, Kayla said, forcing herself to focus. How reliable? Very, Hyun-woo said. He is a medical worker they conscripted. He does not want to be there, but he has no choice. He has been feeding me information for 6 months. Everything he has told me so far has been accurate. Can he get us inside? Kayla asked. No. His access is limited and he is watched closely, but he can tell us when the guard shifts change, when the shields are down for maintenance, small windows we can use. Kayla moved around the table, studying the hologram from every angle. Direct assault would fail. Even with my strength, I could not break through those defenses alone, and you are just one human soldier. She said it as a fact, not an insult. Hyun-woo nodded. I know. That's why I have been planning this carefully. We cannot go through the front. We have to go under. He zoomed in on the image, showing the planet's surface around the facility. The planet is volcanic, not active, but the underground is full of old lava tubes and caves. Some of them run under the facility. The enemy knows about them, but they consider them too small and too unstable to be a real threat. They post minimal guards in the sublevels? Kayla's eyes narrowed. How small? Small enough that draconic soldiers could not fit through them. That is why they do not worry. Hyun-woo looked up at her. But a human can fit. And maybe a hybrid if she is smaller than full-blooded draconics. Ji-woo is smaller, Kayla confirmed. Her daughter had always been more delicate than other draconic children. Kayla had worried about it when she was young. Now that difference might save her life. The tubes connect to the sublevels, Hyun-woo continued. From there, we can work our way up to the medical wing. It will not be easy. We will face guards, security systems, and we will have to move fast. Once they know we are inside, they will lock down the whole facility. You said we, Kayla noted. How do I fit into this plan? I cannot fit through those tubes. No, Hyun-woo agreed. But I need you for the distraction. While I go in through the underground, you hit the facility from above. Make them think the real attack is coming from outside. Draw off as many guards as possible. Give me time to reach Ji-woo and get her out through the tunnels. Kayla considered this. It was dangerous. If Hyun-woo failed to reach Ji-woo in time, Kayla would be fighting the entire garrison alone. She would probably die. But the alternative was leaving her daughter in that place. When? Kayla asked. 3 days, Hyun-woo said. The shields go down for maintenance every 2 weeks. The next window is in 3 days. After that, we wait another 2 weeks. I do not think we should wait. Kayla agreed. Every day her daughter spent in that facility was 1 day too long. What do you need from me? Your ship, Hyun-woo said. Mine is barely holding together. I need something that can take heavy fire and keep flying, and I need your word that you will keep them busy long enough for me to reach Ji-woo. Even if it looks like I failed. Even if you think I am dead, you have to give me time. Kayla looked at this human, really looked at him. He was asking her to trust him with her daughter's life. to put everything in his hands while she played bait for an army. It should have been an impossible ask. But somehow, after hearing his story, after seeing the determination in his eyes, Kayla found that she did trust him. "I need to know something first," Kayla said. "What happened after you got Jiwoo onto that evacuation ship? You said you got her to the medical station. Tell me everything." Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment, then he began to talk. "The plasma burn was bad," he said. "It went deep, damaged organs. The medics said she would not make it. Her human side was too fragile. They wanted to make her comfortable while she died. I refused that too." He stood up and paced, like the memory made him restless. "There was one medic, a woman named Bo-Ra. She said there was an experimental treatment. Risky. It might save Jiwoo or it might kill her faster. But it was a chance. I told her to do it." "Without my permission?" Kayla asked. There was no anger in her voice, only curiosity. "You were not there," Hyunwoo said simply. "Jiwoo was unconscious. Someone had to decide. I decided to fight for her life." "What was the treatment?" Kayla asked. "Biogel and nanite infusion," Hyunwoo explained. "They filled the wound with gel to hold her organs in place, while nanites repaired the damage from the inside. It took 3 days. She was in and out of consciousness the whole time, screaming when she was awake. The pain was intense." Kayla's hands clenched into fists. Her poor girl. "But it worked," Hyunwoo continued. "She stabilized, started healing. Bo-Ra said it was a miracle. I said it was because Jiwoo was too stubborn to die. She laughed at that, said I was probably right." "Then the enemy attacked," Kayla guessed. "Then the enemy attacked," Hyunwoo confirmed. "They hit the station with everything. We tried to evacuate, but there were too many wounded. Not enough ships, not enough time. I was ordered to escort supply shuttles to the next sector. I argued, but my CO said I had done enough. That I needed to let others do their jobs." His voice went flat. "I left. I did not want to, but I followed orders. By the time I got back, the station was gone. Everyone on it was listed as dead or missing. I tried to file reports, tried to tell them that Jiwoo might be alive, might be captured. They told me I was in denial, that I needed to accept reality and move on." "But you did not," Kayla said. "But I did not," Hyunwoo agreed. "I used my leave time to investigate. I spent my own money on informants. When my commanding officers told me to stop, I retired from active service. I have been doing this full-time for the last year." Kayla walked around the table to stand in front of him. She towered over him, could crush him with one hand. But when she looked down at his scarred face, all she felt was respect. "You are a good soldier," she said, "a better friend. Thank you for not giving up on my daughter." Hyunwoo met her eyes without fear. "She would not have given up on me. Now let's go get her back." They spent the rest of the night planning. Kayla pulled out old tactical maps and military equipment she had not touched in years. Hyunwoo went over every detail of the facility, every guard rotation, every possible complication. They planned for what could go wrong. They prepared for the worst. When dawn came, Kayla stood and stretched. Her wings unfurled, the first time she had fully extended them in 3 years. They were stiff but strong. 3 days, she said. "We leave in 3 days. I will prepare my ship and gather weapons. You should rest." "You look like you have not slept properly in months." "I will rest when Jiwoo is safe," Hyunwoo said. But he did not argue when Kayla showed him to a guest room. As she walked through her fortress, Kayla felt alive again. The grief was still there. It would always be there. But now it had purpose. Direction. Her daughter was alive, and Kayla was going to move heaven and earth to bring her home. And this human, this unlikely hero, would help her do it. Together they would face an army. Together they would break into an impregnable fortress. Together they would prove that sometimes the bonds between soldiers were stronger than any prison walls. Jiwoo had been alone for 3 years, but not anymore. Help was coming. 3 days passed like 3 years. Kayla spent every waking moment preparing. She pulled her battle armor from storage and polished it until it gleamed. She tested weapons she had not fired since before Jiwoo was born. She ran through combat drills until her muscles remembered what her mind had tried to forget. Hyunwoo worked just as hard. He checked and rechecked his equipment. He studied the facility maps until he could navigate them with his eyes closed. He reached out to his contact inside, confirming that everything was still on schedule. The shields would go down for maintenance at midnight station time. They would have a 4-hour window before the next shift arrived. 4 hours to break into a maximum security facility, fight through an army, and rescue a prisoner. It sounded impossible. But Kayla had done impossible things before, and she had never had this much to fight for. On the morning of the 3rd day, they loaded Kayla's ship. It was a draconic warship, built for speed and durability. The hull was scarred from old battles, but the engines purred like new. Kayla had kept it maintained even during her years of isolation, some part of her unable to let it fall into disrepair. They did not talk much during the flight to Beck 7. There was nothing left to say. They had gone over the plan 100 times. Any more discussion would just be nervous energy. Instead, Kayla flew in silence while Hyunwoo sat in the co-pilot seat, his eyes closed, mentally preparing for what was coming. The planet came into view after 8 hours of travel. It was as ugly as the hologram suggested. Gray and barren, with angry red cracks where old volcanic activity still glowed beneath the surface. The detention facility sat on the dark side of the planet, lit up like a beacon against the darkness. Kayla brought the ship down on the far side of a mountain range, out of sight of the facility's sensors. They had maybe 20 minutes before patrol ships spotted them, 20 minutes to get into position. "Remember the timing," Hyunwoo said, as they prepared to leave the ship. He was pulling on a breathing mask and thermal gear for the cold tunnels. "I need 45 minutes to reach the medical wing, then another 15 to locate Jiwoo and prep her for transport. That is an hour total. After that, I will be making my way back out. The distraction can end, but you need to keep them focused on you for that first hour, no matter what." "I understand," Kayla said. She was strapping on her armor, each piece locking into place with solid clicks. Her weapons harness held enough firepower to level a building. She planned to use all of it. "If I do not make it," Hyunwoo said quietly, "if something goes wrong, there is a backup plan in my ship's computer. Coordinates for the prisoner transport route. Sometimes they move captives between facilities. It is not much, but it is something." Kayla stopped what she was doing and looked at him. "You are going to make it. You are going to get my daughter out of there, and then we are all going home." Hyunwoo smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. "Yes, ma'am." They left the ship together, moving quickly through the rocky terrain. The entrance to the lava tubes was exactly where Hyunwoo's maps said it would be. A crack in the ground, barely wide enough for a human to squeeze through. Kayla would never fit. "This is where we split up," Hyunwoo said. He pulled out a small communicator. "I will signal when I have her. 3 clicks. If you do not hear from me in 90 minutes, assume I failed and get out." "No," Kayla said firmly. "I will not leave without you. Without either of you." "Kayla," Hyunwoo started, but she cut him off. "My daughter thinks honor means doing what is right even when it is hard. I am not abandoning the man who saved her life. You both come home, or none of us do." For a moment, Hyunwoo looked like he might argue. Then he just nodded. "Understood. Try not to die. Jiwoo would never forgive me if I got her mother killed. Try not to die yourself. I would have to feel guilty about it." They shared a look, the kind of understanding that passes between warriors before battle. Then Hyunwoo lowered himself into the crack and disappeared into the darkness below. Kayla watched until she could no longer see his light. Then she turned and began the trek toward the facility. The detention center looked even more imposing up close. The walls were smooth metal, designed to give attackers no handholds or cover. Guard towers swept the area with spotlights. Kayla counted at least 50 visible soldiers on the walls, probably 3 times that many inside. She checked her weapons one last time. Plasma rifle charged, missile launcher armed, energy grenades ready. Her natural weapons, her claws and tail and fire were ready too. She was a weapon herself, and she was about to remind these people why attacking a draconic mother was a fatal mistake. Kayla activated her communicator, setting it to the channel she and Hyunwoo agreed on. She waited, counting down the minutes. At exactly midnight station time, she saw the shimmer around the facility flicker and fade. The shields were down. She gave Hyunwoo 5 minutes to get inside through the tunnels. Then she stepped out from behind cover and roared. The sound echoed across the barren landscape, primal and terrifying. Every guard on the walls turned to look. Alarms began to blare. Kayla spread her wings and launched herself into the air, her armor glinting in the facility's lights. She did not try to be subtle. Subtle was not the point. She was here to be seen, to draw every eye and every weapon. She fired her missile launcher at the nearest guard tower, the explosion lighting up the night. Soldiers scattered, shouting orders. Weapon platforms swiveled to track her. Kayla dove and rolled as energy beams cut through the air where she had been. She came up firing, her plasma rifle taking out another guard tower. More soldiers poured out of the facility, setting up defensive positions. Good. The more who focused on her, the fewer Hyunwoo would face inside. She landed on the facility's roof with enough force to crack the metal. Soldiers below opened fire. Kayla's armor absorbed most of it, the rest bouncing off her scales. She raked the courtyard with plasma fire, forcing the soldiers to take cover. An explosion rocked the roof beneath her feet. They were firing rockets from inside the facility. Kayla leaped into the air, her wings carrying her up and away. She threw energy grenades as she flew, the blasts cratering the roof and destroying sensor arrays. 15 minutes gone, 45 more to go. A patrol ship came around the mountain, its weapons hot. Kayla turned to face it, letting it see her clearly. It fired a stream of bullets. Kayla twisted in the air, her tail whipping around to deflect the shots. She closed the distance and landed on the ship's hull, her claws punching through the metal. The ship spun wildly, trying to throw her off. Kayla held on and tore through the hull until she reached the engine. One good blast from her plasma rifle and the ship went down, crashing into the ground in a ball of fire. She rode it down and jumped clear at the last second, landing in the middle of a squad of soldiers. They had no chance. Kayla was not trying to kill them all, just keep them busy. But she was a warrior trained from childhood. Her claws and tail became blurs. Soldiers went flying. The ones who were smart ran. The ones who were brave tried to fight and ended up unconscious or wounded. 30 minutes gone, 30 to go. More ships appeared on the horizon. They had called for reinforcements. Kayla grinned, showing all her teeth. Perfect. The more they sent after her, the better. She took to the air again, leading the ships on a chase around the facility's perimeter. They fired at her, their weapons lighting up the night. Kayla dodged and weaved, occasionally taking a hit that her armor absorbed. She was not fighting to win. She was fighting to survive and to keep their attention. Every minute they chased her was a minute Hyunwoo had to find Jiwoo. Every soldier who came after Kayla was one who would not stop him. Her armor took a serious hit from a rocket. Kayla spiraled down, hitting the ground hard. Pain flared along her side, but nothing was broken. She forced herself up as soldiers closed in. She opened her mouth and breathed fire, a wall of flame that sent them scrambling backward. 45 minutes gone, 15 to go. Kayla was starting to feel the strain. She had not fought like this in 3 years. Her muscles burned. Her wings ached. A dozen small wounds bled beneath her armor. But she could not stop. Not yet. Hyunwoo needed more time. She charged back toward the facility, taking out another guard tower as she passed. The remaining soldiers were getting organized now, working in coordinated teams. They were good fighters. Under other circumstances, Kyla might have respected that. Right now, she just needed them to keep focusing on her. 60 minutes gone. Hyan-woo should have Ji-woo by now. Any moment, she would hear 3 clicks on the communicator telling her the extraction was successful. Any moment. A heavy weapon fired from the facility's main entrance. The shot caught Kayla in the chest, throwing her backward. She crashed into the ground and did not get up immediately. That had hurt. Her armor was cracked. She could taste blood. Soldiers moved in cautiously. Kayla lay still, letting them get close. Then she surged up with a roar, scattering them again. She was hurt, but not done. Not even close. 70 minutes gone. No signal yet. Kayla felt the first touch of real fear. Something had gone wrong. Hyan-woo should have signaled by now. But she could not go to him. Could not abandon the plan. All she could do was keep fighting and hope. The communicator clicked once, twice, 3 times. Relief flooded through Kayla, so intense she almost fell over. He had done it. Hyun-woo had Ji-woo. They were coming out. Now Kayla just had to stay alive long enough to meet them. The 3 clicks on the communicator changed everything. Kayla was no longer fighting to distract. She was fighting to escape. She had to get back to the extraction point, had to make sure Hyun-woo and Ji-woo got away safely. But the enemy was not going to make it easy. They knew something was wrong now. Alarms that had been blaring about an external attack suddenly changed tone. Internal breach. Someone was inside the facility. Guards that had been focused on Kayla started pulling back, running to protect the interior. Kayla could not let that happen. She needed to keep them occupied just a little longer. She charged the main entrance, firing everything she had. The doors were reinforced, but her plasma rifle at full power could cut through almost anything. She did not need to get inside. She just needed them to think she was trying. More soldiers poured out to stop her. Good. That was what she wanted. She fought them hand to hand when her ammunition ran low, her claws and tail doing terrible damage. She was not trying to kill, but she was not being gentle either. Anyone who got in her way went down hard. Somewhere beneath the facility, Hyun-woo was making his way back through the tunnels. Kayla did not know if he was carrying Ji-woo or if her daughter could walk. She did not know how badly injured Ji-woo was. All she knew was that she had to give them time to get out. A lucky shot caught Kayla's wing. She roared in pain and fury as she went down. The wing was not broken, but it was damaged. Flying was going to be difficult. She would have to run back to the extraction point. The soldiers must have realized the same thing because they pressed their advantage, trying to surround her. Kayla spun and fought, always moving toward the mountain range where they had left the ship. She could not let them pin her down. Her communicator clicked again. Once. That was Hyun-woo's signal that he was out of the tunnels. He would be in the open now, exposed. Kayla roared again and unleashed everything she had left. Fire poured from her mouth in a continuous stream. Her remaining grenades went out in a cluster, the explosions massive. She needed to give them something else to worry about besides a human soldier and a rescued prisoner fleeing across the rocky terrain. Then she ran. Her damaged wing made her uneven, but she was still faster than the soldiers chasing her. She bounded over rocks and leaped across crevasses, putting distance between herself and the facility. Behind her, she could hear engines. Ships were lifting off in pursuit. This was the dangerous part. In the open with a damaged wing, she was vulnerable. If they caught her before she reached the ship, this could all end very badly. But she had not come this far to fail now. 3 years of grief had refined into pure determination. She was getting her daughter back. Nothing was going to stop that. The mountain range came into view. Kayla pushed herself harder, ignoring the pain in her side and wing. The ships were gaining. She could hear their weapons charging. Any second now they would open fire and she would have to dodge with an injured wing. Then she crested a ridge and saw them. Two figures below, one supporting the other. Hyunwoo was half carrying, half dragging someone toward the ship. Even from a distance, Kayla knew that small frame, those scales that were lighter than a full-blooded draconics. Ji-woo, her daughter, alive. Something broke in Kayla's chest. All the grief, all the pain, all the rage of the last 3 years came pouring out in a sound that was half roar, half sob. She changed direction, angling down the slope toward them. The ships behind her opened fire. Energy beams cut through the air, striking the ground around Kayla and kicking up clouds of dust and rock. She dodged as best she could, but took 2 hits. Her armor held but barely. One more direct hit, and she was done. She reached Hyunwoo and Ji-woo just as the human got her daughter to the ship's ramp. Up close, Kayla could finally see what 3 years had done. Ji-woo was thin, too thin. Her scales were dull and scarred. She was barely conscious, her head lolling against Hyunwoo's shoulder. But she was alive. She was breathing. "Get her inside!" Kayla roared over the sound of weapons fire. "I will hold them off!" Hyunwoo did not argue. He practically carried Ji-woo up the ramp. Kayla turned to face the approaching ships, putting herself between them and her daughter. Her weapons were nearly empty, but she still had her natural weapons. She still had her fire and her fury. The lead ship came in low, trying to strafe the ship. Kayla leaped, her claws extended. Even with her damaged wing, she had enough height. She caught the ship's wing and held on as it tried to shake her off. Her claws punctured the metal, and she pulled, tearing through the wing until the ship could not stay airborne. It went down hard. Kayla hit the ground and rolled, coming up already running back toward her ship. More ships were coming. She had maybe seconds before they blocked the ship's takeoff. She bounded up the ramp and slammed her fist on the close button. The ramp sealed as Kayla threw herself into the pilot's seat. Her hands flew over the controls. The engines roared to life. Weapons fire hammered the hull, but draconic ships were built tough. The shields flickered to life just as a missile struck them. Kayla pulled the ship into a steep climb, putting power to the engines. The ship groaned but held together. More missiles followed them up. Kayla jinked and dodged, her hands steady on the controls despite the pain radiating through her body. They broke through the atmosphere with enemy ships still in pursuit. But Kayla's ship was faster, especially once they hit open space. She punched in coordinates for a jump to hyperspace and counted down the seconds while laser fire lit up the space around them. The jump drive engaged with a lurch. Stars stretched into lines, and suddenly they were away, leaving the pursuit behind. Kayla kept the ship on course for another 10 minutes, just to be sure they were clear. Only when she was certain no one was following did she engage the autopilot and leave her seat. Her whole body hurt. She was bleeding from a dozen wounds. Her armor was cracked and her wing throbbed with every breath. None of that mattered. She limped to the back of the ship where the small medical bay was. Hyunwoo had gotten Ji-woo onto one of the beds and was hooking up monitoring equipment. He looked up as Kayla entered, his face exhausted but triumphant. "She is stable," he said. "Vitals are weak but steady. She needs proper medical care, but she is going to make it." Kayla barely heard him. She was moving toward the bed, toward her daughter. She had dreamed of this moment for 3 years. Dreamed and given up hope and then dreamed again. And now here it was. Real. Ji-woo was real and alive and here. Up close, the damage was even worse. Ji-woo's face was gaunt, her cheekbones too prominent. Scars crisscrossed her arms and neck. The plasma burn Hyunwoo had described was a twisted mass of scar tissue across her chest. 3 years in captivity had worn her down to almost nothing. But she was alive. She was breathing. Her eyes were moving beneath her eyelids like she was dreaming. Kayla reached out with one trembling hand and touched her daughter's face. The scales were rough under her fingers, damaged by poor conditions and lack of care. Ji-woo stirred at the touch. her eyes fluttering. "Mom?" The word was barely a whisper, so quiet Kayla almost missed it. "I am here," Kayla said, her voice breaking. "I am here, little flame. I am here." Jiwoo's eyes opened slowly. They were still brown like her father's, but dimmer than Kayla remembered. They focused on Kayla's face with difficulty, like Jiwoo was not sure if she was dreaming. "You came," Jiwoo whispered. I thought you did not know." "Thought I was going to die there." "Never," Kayla said fiercely. "Do you hear me? Never. I would tear apart the universe to find you. I am sorry it took so long. I am so sorry." "Not your fault," Jiwoo said. Her hand lifted weakly, and Kayla caught it, holding it gently in her larger one. "They said I was dead, said no one was coming. But I knew you would come if you could." Tears ran down Kayla's face, dripping onto their joined hands. "You are safe now. You are coming home. I am going to take care of you, and you are going to heal. Everything is going to be all right." Jiwoo's eyes drifted to where Hyunwoo stood by the door, giving them space. A weak smile touched her lips. "You came back. Stubborn human. Told you I would survive." Hyunwoo moved closer, his own eyes suspiciously bright. "You did. And I told you I would come back for you. Humans do not leave our people behind, ever." "Thank you," Jiwoo whispered. Her eyes were closing again, exhaustion pulling her under. "Both of you. Thank you." She drifted off into sleep, her breathing evening out. Kayla held her hand and watched her daughter's chest rise and fall. Proof of life. Proof that the nightmare was over. Hyunwoo put a hand on Kayla's shoulder, his grip surprisingly strong for someone so small. "She is going to be okay. We got her out in time." "Because of you," Kayla said, not taking her eyes off Jiwoo. "You saved her life twice now. I owe you a debt I can never repay." "You already repaid it," Hyunwoo said. "You could have stayed on your mountain and mourned. Instead, you came with me to face an army. That was payment enough." They stood in silence for a while, watching over Jiwoo as the ship carried them through hyperspace. Finally, Kayla spoke again. "When we get home, when Jiwoo is healed, I am going back to the council. I am going to offer my clan's support to the Alliance. Full military support, ships, soldiers, everything." She looked at Hyunwoo. "Your people taught me something. You showed me that real strength is not in scales or claws or fire. It is in refusing to give up on the people you care about. It is in doing what is right even when it is hard." Hyunwoo smiled. "Jiwoo said you taught her that." "She reminded me," Kayla said. "Both of you did. Humans are remarkable. You are small and fragile, and your lives are so short. But you burn so bright. You never give up. You fight for each other with everything you have. The universe needs more of that. I want my people to stand with yours, to fight beside you, to learn from you." "We would be honored," Hyunwoo said seriously. "And humbled. The Alliance is stronger with the Draconics truly committed to the cause." "Not just committed," Kayla said. "Partnered, friends, family." She looked down at her daughter. "Jiwoo is proof that our peoples can be more than allies. We can be one people united. That is what I am going to fight for now." They flew in silence for a time. Kayla did not leave her daughter's side. She sat on the edge of the bed and held Jiwoo's hand and watched her sleep. 3 years of grief were not erased, but they were transformed, changed into hope and purpose. Jiwoo would heal. It would take time, but she would recover. And Kayla would be there for every moment. She would make up for the lost years. She would show her daughter every day how much she was loved, and she would honor the debt she owed to humans like Hyunwoo, the ones who refused to give up, the ones who fought for their friends even when all hope seemed lost, the ones who reminded her what it meant to be a warrior. As the ship jumped through hyperspace toward home, Kyla made a silent promise. She would never forget again. Never forget that strength meant protecting the people you loved. That honor meant doing what was right. That family, whether by blood or by choice, was worth any sacrifice. Jiwoo had survived. They were going home. And the universe was about to learn what happened when humans and draconics truly stood together. It would be the beginning of something new, something stronger than either species alone. The dragon woman and the human veteran had faced impossible odds. They had stormed a fortress and stolen back what was taken. And they had proved that sometimes the strongest bonds were forged in the fires of adversity. Sometimes family was found in the unlikeliest places. And sometimes the greatest victories came not from war, but from refusing to accept defeat. Jiwoo stirred in her sleep, her hand squeezing Kayla's weakly. Kayla squeezed back, gentle but firm. A promise without words. You are safe. You are loved. You are home.